There's a reason why the richest people on earth still struggle with depression, why celebrities with everything end their own lives, and why no amount of pleasure or achievement can permanently satisfy the human soul. What I'm about to reveal will shake you to your core. If you've ever felt that nagging emptiness despite having everything you thought you wanted, if you've ever wondered why success feels so hollow, if you've ever asked yourself, is this all there is? Then this message is specifically for you. Because today, we're going to uncover the hidden truth about human happiness that most people spend their entire lives searching for, but never find. Look around you. We live in the most prosperous time in human history. We have technology that would seem like magic to our ancestors. We have medical advances that can cure diseases once thought impossible. We have entertainment, comfort, and convenience beyond imagination. Yet depression rates are at an all-time high. Suicide rates continue to climb. Anxiety disorders affect millions. Despite having more than any generation before us, we're arguably the most miserable people who have ever lived. Why? The answer lies in understanding something profound about human nature, something that modern society has forgotten, but ancient wisdom has always known. You see, humans are not just physical beings. We're not just sophisticated animals driven by basic needs for food, shelter, and reproduction. There's something else, something deeper, something that sets us apart from every other creature on this planet. Inside every human being, there exists what can only be described as a God-shaped void. This isn't just poetic language. This is a fundamental aspect of human consciousness that philosophers, theologians, and even some scientists have recognized for centuries. Think about it this way. No matter what you achieve, no matter how much pleasure you experience, no matter how successful you become, there's always something missing. There's always a sense that there should be more. This isn't a character flaw. This isn't weakness. This is design. We were created with an infinite capacity for meaning, purpose, and love that can only be filled by an infinite source. And that source is what we call God, the divine, the universe's consciousness, the creator. Whatever name resonates with your understanding. Let me share something that will open your eyes. Every single thing we pursue in life, money, fame, relationships, achievements, experiences, all of these are finite. They have limits. They have endings. But the human soul craves the infinite. This is why a billionaire can still feel empty. This is why a famous actor with millions of fans can still feel profoundly alone. This is why someone who has achieved everything they ever wanted can still wake up feeling like their life has no meaning. You cannot fill an infinite void with finite things. It's like trying to fill the ocean with a cup of water. No matter how many cups you pour, the ocean remains the ocean. We've seen it over and over again. Kurt Cobain, Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain, Mac Miller, Avicii, Kate Spade. These were people who had everything the world says should make you happy. Fame, fortune, adoration from millions. Yet they chose to end their lives. How is this possible? How can someone who seemingly has everything choose nothingness instead? Because they discovered what every person eventually discovers if they pursue worldly happiness long enough. It's an illusion. It's a mirage that keeps moving further away the closer you get to it. Robin Williams could make millions of people laugh, but he couldn't fill the void in his own soul. Kurt Cobain had musical genius and wealth beyond imagination, but it wasn't enough to satisfy the deepest part of his being. This isn't about mental illness, though that certainly plays a role. This is about the fundamental reality of human existence. We were made for something more than this world can offer. Psychologists have a term for this phenomenon, the hedonic treadmill. It's the observed tendency of humans to quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite positive or negative events. Win the lottery? You'll be happy for a while, then return to baseline. Get your dream job? Same thing. Find the perfect relationship? The initial joy fades, and you're back where you started emotionally. This isn't pessimism. This is documented science. Study after study shows that external circumstances have a remarkably small impact on long-term happiness levels. But here's what's fascinating. People who have a deep spiritual connection, who believe in and maintain a relationship with a higher power, consistently report higher levels of life satisfaction, meaning, and yes, happiness. Why? Because they've found a source of fulfillment that transcends the material world. Now, some of you might be thinking, I know plenty of atheists who seem happy. And you're right. On the surface, many non-believers appear content with their lives. But let's dig deeper. What happens when we strip away all pretense and look at the logical conclusions of a purely materialistic worldview? If we are nothing but chemical reactions in our brains, if consciousness is just an illusion, if there's no ultimate meaning or purpose to existence, if when we die, we simply cease to exist forever, then what's the point of anything? Why be moral? Why care about others? Why strive for anything beyond immediate pleasure? The honest atheist philosopher recognizes this dilemma. Friedrich Nietzsche, after declaring God is dead, didn't celebrate. He was terrified. He understood that without God, without ultimate meaning, nihilism was the only logical conclusion. Jean-Paul Sartre, the famous existentialist, wrote extensively about the nausea of existence, the overwhelming sense of meaninglessness that comes with rejecting the divine. Even Richard Dawkins, perhaps the world's most famous atheist, has admitted that the universe appears to have no design, no purpose, no evil, no good, nothing but pitiless indifference. How do you build a happy life on that foundation? But here's where it gets really interesting. Modern science is actually confirming what spiritual traditions have taught for millennia. Studies have shown that people who regularly engage in spiritual practices live longer, have better mental health, stronger immune systems, and report greater life satisfaction. The Harvard study of adult development, one of the longest-running studies on human happiness, found that the people who were happiest and healthiest throughout their lives weren't the wealthiest or most successful. They were the ones who maintained strong relationships and had a sense of purpose that transcended themselves. Brain imaging studies show that when people engage in prayer or meditation, areas associated with peace, compassion, and well-being light up. When people feel connected to something greater than themselves, their brains literally function better. This isn't correlation. This is causation. The human brain, the human heart, the human soul, they're designed to connect with the divine. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, made a profound observation. Man's search for meaning is the primary motivation in his life. Frankl noticed that even in the most horrific circumstances imaginable, the Nazi concentration camps, the people who survived weren't necessarily the strongest or smartest. They were the ones who maintained a sense of meaning and purpose that transcended their immediate suffering. Today, we're experiencing what many scholars call a meaning crisis. Traditional sources of meaning, family, community, shared values, spiritual beliefs, have been eroded by modernity. And what have we replaced them with? Career success, material accumulation, personal achievements, experiences. But these things, as we've established, are finite. They can't provide the deep, lasting sense of meaning that the human soul requires. Here's something most people don't realize. Everyone, worship something. The question isn't whether you have a God, it's what your God is. For some people, their God is money. They believe that wealth will solve all their problems and bring them happiness. But as we've seen with countless wealthy individuals, this God fails to deliver. For others, their God is achievement. They believe that success, recognition, and accomplishment will fill the void. But achievement is a cruel master. It demands more and more while giving less and less satisfaction. Some people worship relationships believing that the right person will complete them. But no human being can bear the weight of being someone else's ultimate source of meaning and happiness. Others worship pleasure, experiences, or even their own self-image. But all of these substitutes eventually reveal themselves to be false gods. They promise what they cannot deliver. But what if there really is a source of meaning, purpose, and joy that never runs dry? What if there really is something that can satisfy the deepest longings of the human heart? Every major spiritual tradition throughout history has pointed to this reality. There is a divine source of love, meaning, and purpose that transcends the material world. Christians call this God the Father, revealed through Jesus Christ. Muslims know this as Allah, the most gracious and merciful. Jews recognize this as Hashem, the eternal and loving Creator. Hindus understand this as Brahman, the ultimate reality. Buddhists seek enlightenment and connection with the divine nature of existence. The names and specific beliefs may differ, but the core truth remains constant. Humans find their deepest satisfaction in connection with the divine. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine knowing with absolute certainty that your life has ultimate meaning and purpose. Imagine knowing that you're loved unconditionally by the Creator of the universe. Imagine knowing that your existence matters, that your choices have eternal significance, that death is not the end, but a transition to something infinitely beautiful. How would that change how you live each day? How would that affect your relationships, your work, your goals, your response to suffering? This isn't wishful thinking. This isn't a crutch for weak people. This is the foundation that has sustained billions of people throughout history in times of joy and times of unimaginable suffering. Here's something remarkable. In every culture throughout history, in every corner of the globe, humans have instinctively reached toward the divine. This isn't learned behavior, it's hardwired into our very being. Children naturally ask questions about God before anyone teaches them to. People facing death instinctively call out to a higher power. Even in the most secular societies, people create spiritual practices and search for transcendent meaning. This universal hunger points to something real. Just as physical hunger points to the existence of food, spiritual hunger points to the existence of spiritual nourishment. Modern secularism promises that science, reason, and human progress can provide everything we need for happiness and fulfillment. But after centuries of this experiment, what do we see? The most scientifically advanced societies have the highest rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide. The most educated generations are also the most anxious and unfulfilled. The most technologically connected people are also the loneliest. Science can tell us how things work, but it cannot tell us why anything matters. Reason can solve problems, but it cannot create meaning. Human progress can improve living conditions, but it cannot satisfy the soul. These are good things, but they're not ultimate things. And when we try to make them ultimate, they become false gods that promise what they cannot deliver. Look at the incredible fine-tuning of the universe. Scientists tell us that if the fundamental constants of physics were changed by even the tiniest amount, life could not exist. The probability of this happening by chance is so small, it's essentially zero. Look at the complexity of a single living cell, more complex than any machine humans have ever created. Look at the emergence of consciousness from matter, something that materialistic science still cannot explain. Look at the universal human experience of beauty, love, justice, and meaning. Why would mindless evolution produce beings capable of experiencing these transcendent realities? The evidence points to intentional design, to purpose, to a mind behind the universe. But beyond philosophy and science, there's something even more compelling. Personal experience. Millions of people throughout history have reported direct encounters with the divine. Not hallucinations or wishful thinking, but transformative experiences that changed the entire course of their lives. People like St. Paul, who went from persecuting Christians to becoming Christianity's greatest missionary after encountering the risen Christ. People like Muhammad, who received revelations that transformed the Arabian Peninsula and much of the world. People like the Buddha, who achieved enlightenment and taught a path to transcendence. But it's not just historical figures. Ordinary people today continue to experience life-changing encounters with the divine. They report a peace that surpasses understanding, a joy that doesn't depend on circumstances, a sense of purpose that gives meaning to every aspect of life. What happens when we deny this fundamental aspect of human nature? When we try to convince ourselves that we're nothing more than sophisticated animals? We see the results all around us: meaninglessness, despair, addiction, broken relationships, suicide. We see people desperately trying to create meaning through activism, career success, or personal achievement, only to find themselves still empty. We see the rise of depression as a global epidemic. We see young people struggling with anxiety and hopelessness at unprecedented rates. We see the breakdown of communities, families, and shared values. This isn't progress. This is spiritual starvation. So, what's the solution? How do we find the happiness that has eluded so many? The answer is both simple and profound. We must reconnect with our Creator, with the divine source from which we came and to which we will return. This doesn't necessarily mean joining a specific religion, though for many people, a faith community provides crucial support and guidance. It means recognizing that we are more than our physical bodies, more than our achievements, more than our circumstances. It means acknowledging that there is a loving intelligence behind the universe who knows us, values us, and has a purpose for our lives. It means learning to live not just for ourselves, but in connection with something infinitely greater than ourselves. When we align ourselves with the divine, everything changes. Not necessarily our external circumstances, those may remain the same, but our inner experience transforms completely. We find peace in the midst of chaos. We find meaning in suffering. We find joy that doesn't depend on getting what we want. We find love that isn't based on performance or achievement. This isn't theory. This is the lived experience of countless people who have made this discovery. Prayer becomes more than wishful thinking. It becomes a conversation with the source of all love and wisdom. Meditation becomes more than stress relief. It becomes communion with the divine. Service to others becomes more than duty. It becomes participation in God's love for the world. And here's the beautiful thing. When you find this connection, it doesn't just change you. It changes everyone around you. Your relationships improve because you're no longer desperately trying to get other people to fill the void in your soul. Your work becomes meaningful because you see it as an expression of your divine purpose. Your challenges become opportunities for growth because you trust that they're part of a larger plan. You become a source of light in a dark world, a fountain of hope for those who are still searching. So here's the question you must answer for yourself. Will you continue searching for happiness in things that cannot ultimately satisfy? Will you keep running on the hedonic treadmill, always chasing the next achievement, the next experience, the next thing that promises to finally make you happy? Or will you have the courage to look beyond the material world and seek the one thing that can truly fill the God-shaped void in your heart? The choice is yours. But remember this: you were not created for misery. You were not designed for meaninglessness. You were made for joy, for purpose, for connection with the infinite love that created you. That happiness you've been seeking, it's been waiting for you all along. Not in the next promotion, not in the perfect relationship, not in the next purchase or experience. It's waiting for you in the arms of the one who made you, who knows you completely, and who loves you unconditionally. Today, I want to invite you to stop running. Stop searching in all the wrong places. Stop trying to fill an infinite void with finite things. Instead, turn your heart toward the divine. However you understand that divine presence, whether you call it God, Allah, the universe, the source, or by any other name, open yourself to the possibility that there is something more. Start with a simple acknowledgement. I don't have all the answers, but I'm open to discovering truth. Begin with gratitude for the mystery of your own existence. Practice moments of wonder at the incredible complexity and beauty of creation. And watch what happens. Watch how this simple shift in perspective begins to transform not just your thinking, but your entire experience of life. Because here's what I can promise you. When you finally stop trying to be your own God and surrender to the one true God, you will discover a happiness that the world cannot give and cannot take away. You will find your purpose. You will discover your worth. You will experience a peace that transcends understanding and a joy that endures through every circumstance. This isn't just hope. This is the testimony of billions of people throughout history who made this discovery. This is the promise that has sustained humanity through its darkest hours and its greatest triumphs. The question is, are you ready to claim it for yourself? Your search for happiness ends here. Not because you found another temporary fix, but because you finally come home to the source from which you were never meant to be separated. The void in your heart isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's calling you home, and home is waiting for you with open arms.